What is up? I know it's not 8 o'clock yet, but we're starting 2 minutes early. Usually I'm 1 minute late, but we're gonna do it live because why not? Thanks everybody for joining me. Really do appreciate it. We have a lot on the docket today. Not as much as Vero things, but we have a lot on the docket. We are going to obviously go over the tier list. We're going to go over what we think the impact will be of the new heroes. We'll be talking about what has changed, really, now that we have a lot more insight on how these heroes play. Can they impact the meta? And then what's also shaking up as far as, like that Dromai card, right? Tome of Imperial Flame. It's the new hotness on the street, and I think it's going to be a game changer. I think it's going to shift a lot of things in a lot of different directions. So, that's the main thing that we're going to be here for today. In the past week, as far as news, obviously there was the old draft fab thing, and I'll talk about it for a minute. I'm gonna show or explain like the evolution of how I felt about that decision. When they first made the announcement that when they made the announcement that Draft Fab was no longer doing its thing, I was like, that's the right decision. I was like, protect the devs worked on like the shuffle and play aspect of the game, and anything that like simulates that would prevent people from like going in the store and buying 3-packs and shuffling and play, right? If you can just simulate it online. Whereas like Tower Shard doesn't really have the same effect, right? Because you're testing like constructed decks. That's like the secondary market thing, which inadvertently does affect just a lot farther away, much more indirect effect. So I was like, okay, the decision makes sense, and I was even supportive of it. If you notice, anybody that keeps up with what I post on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it nowadays, I kind of expressed, or I didn't express anything on the situation. And that was mainly because of something Vero said in the Discord. We were chatting, and he said that if you're walking like perfectly along the fence, unless you have like a really good point, saying something about the subject kind of doesn't mean or do anything, right? And at that point in time, I was walking the fence. I just said, I was like, I understand, I support that decision. However, after discussing it with a lot of people, I think that people not having the ability to draft could hinder the game a lot more than maybe, whatever the intentions were. I don't know that for sure, but I'm more, considering that, because there were a lot of good points about like take me for example. I live in rural Alabama, right? Well, is there even a class? Isn't all of Alabama rural? Okay. So I live in Alabama, right? Population 14 and a half, half of which are my relatives. And, for me to get a pod together, it's very difficult. So, my armories average 4 to 6 people. That's just like my area. And that's the reality of it, right? And there is an argument to be made, you should grow the community and stuff like that. Well, I was the kind of like roll Tide. No, I was the one that started the community in Birmingham, and literally I went to 2-person armories for 3 months while I was trying to grow this thing. I made decks. I made, everything. I did everything I could to support, and we got it, open in 2 stores. We got 2 stores firing armories, and it was successful. And then I started playing the game a lot more competitively, which, with the wife and kids, like, it's a very hard sell for me to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to Dallas for the weekend. And I come back on Monday and it's like, oh yeah, babe, there's an armory in Birmingham. I'm gonna scoot over to that. It's kind of a hard sell after you've been gone all weekend. So I don't really go to locals anymore. Not by choice. Like, I would love to go, and every now and again I do for like bigger stuff, like pre-releases and things like that. But like, there's not a whole lot of opportunity now for me to draft. Now, I'm a competitive player. I'll problem solve this situation. We're going to, get to whatever venue early and, basically slam a bunch of drafts a week before big events and then go from there. So I'm going to problem solve. I'm going to do whatever's in my best ability to stay at a competitive level. Although a lot of it will be last second and rushed due to Draft Fab not being available. But in case anybody was wondering, that's kind of where I stand on it. So let's go ahead and not waste any more time, and let's just let's hop into it. Let's hop into the tier list. Why not, right? Now, if you are watching this, I highly, highly encourage you to interact, right? Like, tell me why you agree, why you disagree. This is a dictatorship because I'm doing the stream, but that doesn't mean that I won't, take your points into consideration, move things around. One single-handed comment on my last tier list moved Bravo up like 3 spots off of one sentence. So that's how we will draft online now. So let's kick it off, okay? Obviously, this is where we were before, right? And we're going to kind of lay some framework before we start placing any more heroes that might be kind of not as obvious, right? We have to understand like what we are. We have to like understand what we are, look what has changed and how that affects other things and how it kind of trickles down. This is going to be for ProQuest meta because whether Icelander hangs out or not is going to have a large impact, right? So I don't want to waste any more time than I already have on my last video or two streams ago where I kind of like said, if this happens, this, that kind of thing. So this is strictly for the 3 callings: Melbourne, Dallas, Taipei, and then all the battle hardens in between, and then ProQuest season. Darkodius, I completely agree with you. I'm going to get to it in a second. I don't think Lexi is the best deck in the format. I think she can be, but she's going to have to change a little bit. I think there's 2 S tier decks, but I don't think that Lexi is the best one. As crazy as that sounds. I think it's. I never thought that, especially after the Twitter post about the BNR announcement. I couldn't fathom that this hero wasn't the best, just automatically. But we're gonna get to it later. I think that where things stand right now, if you compare new tech to old Lexi tech, the most recent list, like Yuki's. Kind of like Yuki's list in the first place calling, and if you compare that with new cards that heroes can use, aka give you a little hint, it's this hero right here. I think that Lexi can claim the top spot again, but she's gonna have to make a couple changes. Sorry, DM Armada. Vincent is not it. I apologize. As much as I would love for that to happen, it just is not the case. Love Vincent. I love Vincent. I went back and tried again. I solved the fatigue problem. I was able to come up with a good solution for that. However, with that being said, I could not solve the value-oriented kind of running into aggro while also solving the fatigue. So I kind of had to give up one or the other, right? And it was super unfortunate. Kano S tier with Minefield. Gonna have to disagree with that one. I thought that Minefield was only usable in Icelander, but I guess theoretically, I assume, just off the top of my head, I assume you're using that card in correlation with the kill turn to minus their intellect and then try to make a push. But I don't think with a lot of decks in the format that you're going to get the ability to do that. But I could be wrong. Do you think having to have 8 people to draft is an issue? Would it be better if they optimized draft for 4-player pools? I mean, yes, but then the reason 8 works so well is that you can go 3-0 in a pod, right? It works perfect with the pyramid math, right? So whatever they optimized the draft for has to be the competitive way that the draft is played at big events. And therefore, if you have a 4-person pod, then you can have 2 people. Well, you could have 1-2-0, 2-1-1s, and yeah, I mean, I guess I don't see why not, right? It's just one lower on the pyramid. I don't see why not. Yeah, DM, I kind of agree. I mean, I kind of see the end play where you can kind of pitch stack the Minefield and strip cards if somebody's fatiguing you, but you kind of already had an anti-fatigue strategy with Edict to call out Oasis and avoid that situation. And Crown of Seeds is gone, so. Oh, you needed to add more? Sorry, okay. Sorry, I missed that one. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about Lexi. Okay, Lexi was the dominant deck of the format. Everybody knows that. Half the people on Twitter drew up pitchforks when she did not get hit with a ban. But, I think LSS just wants the hero gone. Not really the hero, but Voltaire. Just wants Voltaire out of the game. And they're doing everything in their power, a.k.a. not hitting her, to get her out via Living Legend. And I do support that decision. I think getting Voltaire out of the game one way or another is the best decision. And I guess not letting her linger is a option. Don't know if it's the best option. So we're just going to throw an S just as a reference point. Just so everybody knows, just because a hero goes into a category doesn't mean we can't tweak it a little bit later. I'm just using reference points, and then when we start diving into individual heroes and how things are changing with the new set, that's going to lead to things shifting a little bit. And let's talk about Dash. I want to talk about Dash because it's an old hero, and she got a couple tools. I do not think that she got that many good. Sorry. I don't think she got that many tools, but what she got was good. Okay. Basically, if I was looking to play Dash, you, of course, still have 2 options. Give me 1 second. Let me send a message to the wife about the dogs. Sorry about that. The puppies are excited. So she got a couple tools, not a whole lot, right? Because of a lot of the set is kind of like the same card, underrated with conditional effects, basically on a limited basis. And she's not in B tier. I'm just putting her. I put everything in B while I talk about it. um, and so what did Dash get? First, we have to identify what made Dash better. I think the answer to that question is Twin Drive. I think Twin Drive is a great inclusion. I think it makes a lot of aspects within what you're trying to accomplish with Dash a lot better. Give you the two main plays that kind of jump out of my head are, max velocity off of a smaller hand, right? Sometimes you can just rip 4 cards and get it done, depending on what you're dealing with, and that's huge, right? Is it going to happen every game? God, no, right? But however, you can also twin drive a high octane and get more action points, and then pop your purifiers and go like 5, 5, 5, 5, in like the Dromai situation, right? So twin drive definitely serves its purpose, and just like the comments in chat, you do have the tree frog variant. Okay, now why should we even talk about the tree frog variant? Well, if the Dromai player is unprepared, the tree frog variant can actually be pretty decent. It's not a bad situation for the for the Dash player to be in, if they are running the tree frog, because they have a lot of poppers, they have multiple action points involving the pistol and induction chamber to clear up the smaller stuff. There is a lot of potential there. Now, what tools did that version of Dash get? Well, you could make the argument that you could run one slot of adaptive plating, either in the boots or the arms, and then you do have the ability. There are some certain items in the game that kind of just sit there, no matter what, and they don't remove steam counters at the beginning of the turn, and it kind of acts as a setup pseudo. It's like a sigil that stops an on-hit effect. Basically, is the way you look at it. Anytime they let up a little bit of pressure and you play the item from Arsenal or something, you let it sit there. It turns on your adaptive plating for 3 value on block. And then anytime you get, they throw something big at you, you just jam the 3 armor in and cash it in, right? Which is a decent amount of value. It's not bad. You all, just like Siphon mentioned, you did get Firewall. That's another D-react, right? If you will, but I think the adaptive plating is pretty decent. I don't hate it. Whether it's worth it, that you're gonna have to derive some testing and come up with that decision. But Firewall is basically the main thing that they got, and so I'm going to make my placement on normal Dash. I think that'll be the more relevant of the two. And so I'm going to make my basis off of the hybrid. Basically, if I was going to build Dash and take it to Dallas, I would take Sam Sutherland's list, cut out 3 cards for Twin Drive, probably a Yellow Throttle. If he runs Yellow Throttle, I'd probably take out 1 combustible carrier and maybe 2 yellows, or the high speed impacts probably. Something along those lines is what I would take out and put in that Twin Drive to increase the consistency with Max V, and also a little bit more output from high octane. And so I think that Dash is definitely A tier. Basically, we're gonna see later how good she, or how far up she is in A tier, but I do think that she has potential, right? I think if you can come up with a solid enough game plan into Dromai, that you have a good shot, because her kit naturally has a decent amount of poppers. That is what makes her, I would never say anywhere near favored into Dromai, but I'm saying that in the way that she plays typically would be very disadvantaged into Dromai, but it's not as bad as it normally would be, because she has those max fees, those throttles and stuff just built into the kit. Don't take up any sideboard slots or anything like that. So I'm going to put Dash probably in the upper half of A tier. I don't think she's quite S tier, but I think she's pretty good. Let's just go. Let's go ahead. Let's just start WTR and work our way up. I want some order behind it. I don't want to just put in all the different. And of course, we're gonna save the new ones for last. You know, because that's just what we do, right? So let's go WTR first. Let's go ahead and talk about. Let's talk about Reinar. Okay, Reinar is still losing this Lexi matchup. As Dromai goes more. Actually, no, we have to talk about Dromai first because there's been a big change. Okay? We have to talk about Dromai because the last iteration that we saw most of was Big Dragon. Okay? For those of you who don't know, the delineation between Empress and Big Dragon is Big Dragon required a large pool of support blues. I say large. It was like 6 cards or so, you know, that was required to play your quote-unquote big dragons. Well, breaking news with Tome of the Imperial Flame, that is not required. You do not need any blues. You can run a clean 60, and you can cast whatever the hell you want with Furnace. As long as your Furnace is still there, you can do it. You draw the big dragon, you put it in Arsenal, and you wait on the tome. You draw the tome, you put it in Arsenal, and wait on the big dragon. And whenever you stumble upon it, you are good to go. It's a huge bump up for Dromai because it allows you to be... there's only Dromai, yeah. And so I think that me personally, right? I think that Dromai is the best deck in the format right now. However, I caveat that. Okay. I think that in Taipei, that's the next calling we have, right? Is Taipei. I think Dromai will be the best deck. However, we're going deep with the forecasting. I would say that at calling Dallas, Lexi will be the best deck in the format. Now, how does that make sense? Why? And they're only 1 week apart, right? There's not like a huge deviation as far as time is concerned. Why would it go from this in Taipei to this? Well, I think that the Dromai players are going to get greedy on the blues. And the more aggressive that the Dromai leans, I think that the Lexi player could incorporate more ice and more, on-hit effects, whether it be maybe we might see a resurgence of Chilling Ice Vein, something along that line. And, I just think that possibly Dromai will win calling Dallas, and I can tell you right now who will be the pilot. I would love to hear the name, Darkodius. Is it Austin or Mara? Let me know. I mean, if anybody can do it, it's definitely Mara, that's for sure. Is it God now? Oh, I didn't know Aaron was going. Isn't Aaron Canadian? Is he invading the U.S.? I had no idea. But I think that, oh, there's a Canadian crew going down. Okay. So I think that Dromai is the best deck in the format right now, and Lexi, I think, has the toolkit to pivot that match back once they see what the Dromai players bring. I think that's what I'm speculating, okay? Where things currently stand, right? Canadians can travel to U.S. confirmed. Roll Tide. Oh yeah, they didn't build a wall up north. I remember now. Okay. Um, so that's my prediction. I think that Dromai is currently the best deck in the format right now, with Lexi being very close. But I think Lexi has a toolkit to adapt to flip it once they get a solid read on what the Dromai players are doing. Okay. And the biggest reason that Dromai is the best deck is Fai is no longer there to punish because of Lexi. Once Lexi goes, then there's an exchange to be had, although I don't even think that matchup is as good as it used to be. I think it's still Fai favored, but not as much as it used to be. Not like by a decent margin. Thought about building one to keep you guys out. Oh man. Freedom bacon. Easy. Okay, so let's start now that we have like kind of the top established, right? We can kind of start building from WTR and up to get a good read. So let's go ahead and bring in Rhinar. Rhinar against the more aggressive leaning Dromai kind of loses a lot of its advantage. Gets dumpstered by Lexi with Dash. I mean, sure, you can blow up her items. You got a good matchup there, but just kind of not doing what you want to do. And plus, I don't think there is currently a reason to be playing this hero over Levia, unfortunately. That is just how it be. Are we putting Dromai as best deck off Tome alone? Yes, we are. That is what I'm doing. And if you weren't here before, it's because you can play the big dragons without having any blues in your deck. And it's actually massive, because drawing a blue with Dromai is not, oh, I got a resource card. It's, oh, I got something that doesn't generate my engine. And, you know, you just lose. Like, it is literally a dead card in almost every way, with the exception of like, you know, passing Mirage, playing that out, or whatever the case may be. Yep. So I'm going to put Rhinar kind of chilling in the C tier. There's just no really relevant reason to be playing him right now. It's really as simple as that. Levi is the better brute. Headpiece is good, but just not enough. Just not enough. Okay. So we're going to move into the next WTR hero. Okay, let's talk about Katsu. Katsu is a very, very interesting one, right? Well, you know how I said that Fai's matchup into Dromai decreased as far as Fai is concerned. Well, so did Katsu's. I hate to admit it. I used to be the person to laugh at Dromai players because they said this matchup was 50-50. I used to be that person. But now I truly think it is. I think that that Katsu into Dromai is 50-50. But I think Dromai can actually high roll a little bit more than Katsu can. Because the Dromai player, assuming that they know how to play against Katsu, can mitigate Katsu's high roll. And looking at this board, Katsu, like, bringing Katsu is supposed to be to pick on this deck. And you're not as, you know, used to be wrong. But, like, it's not a bad deck, but, like, why are we bringing Katsu is the real question. It's got an okay Lexi matchup, right? You can, like, punch her in the face, force her to block. You can do things like that, right? But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, why are we bringing this hero? And I think we got to put Katsu at the top of B, maybe. Might end up mid B, low A, something along those lines. That's where he's going to float for now. He could change. He could change. And yep, you do have the ability to run like a defensive Katsu and stuff like that, but that defensive Katsu is going to be weaker into both dash and well, I mean, I guess depending on how the dash sideboards, right? But it's definitely going to be weaker into Dromai. So really, whether you go defensive with Katsu or you go aggressive, you're just trading one matchup for the other, right? You're picking on this one and giving up this one. You're vice versa, right? I'd rather bring Katsu than Azuri to an event I want to metagame. I completely agree with that statement. I completely agree, which is why he might end up in the bottom of A. We're just going to stick him there for now, but like I said, anything after we talk about some other heroes, they can move, right? He very well could be at the bottom of A. We just got to get some more heroes there to kind of gauge where we want to put him exactly. Yes, Briar's gone. I just like pretending she exists. Okay, chat? Just let me leave her down there, okay? It's a tough subject. All right, so moving on. We're going to talk about Dorinthia. Emboldened Blade ain't shit changed. Okay? If you can, like, I don't know, read people's soul, then, like, it's an amazing card. It comes at a low opportunity cost being a blue. It's just very high risk. This format is not conducive for that card. There's not a bajillion D-Reacts being played in most decks. So I just don't see Dory right now. I don't think she's bad, but I just don't see it, to be honest with you. I think that if the Dromai player is good, that this matchup is atrocious for Dory. I don't care what tech you have in there. This matchup is actually not that bad. To be honest, this one's actually pretty Dory favored. And I think this one's just Lexi favored. Plain and simple. So if you're unfavored into 2 or 3, you're kind of like, you know. So I'm going to put her under Katsu, but not far behind. Like I said, I don't think she's a horrible pick. I just think, yeah. Darko, yeah, this is an easy matchup. If the Dromai player knows what they're doing. Correct. The fairest of them all. Could not have said it better myself. Okay. Let's talk about that Bravo. What about Bravo, right? Well, Bravo's got all confident, thought they could shoot on the Lexis. Lexis realized that they could just like fatigue Bravo with the damage, and then Bravo players are just sitting there looking at their hands, not knowing what to do, right? So Bravo kind of lost his edge in this matchup. Plain and simple. Obviously, with the Chromite dust heavily influences this matchup right here. I think it puts it even more into Dromai's favor than previously. So I kind of was with Team Dromai on this matchup, that Dromai was favored into Bravo before, and I think it's even more so now. Yeah, I know you're going to disagree, Ed. Sorry about that. But that Chromite dust is... It's a card. It demands a lot of poppers, and not on the dragons you want to be giving it up on. Is the real power behind that card. Probably just a 2 of, but I think it's definitely good. So see, this is tough, right? Because you're not even winning this like often. You get picked on by this, right? You're losing all 3 of these matchups. Like, what are you doing? Why are you bringing this hero? I don't see it. Like, I think Bravo's going to be right there. I whipped all our Lexis. Ed, you're so full of shit. You're so full of it, bro. Oh man, didn't you tell me that you went like 1-9? You went like 1-9. I'm gonna put Bravo there for now, but we got to start making hard decisions on B and or C and A tier because I don't want everything to be in the middle. Bravo players confidently tell you their favorite and all of them. Yeah. I'm a hard disagree. I'm a hard disagree with that one. I think Katsu and Bravo are very close, though. I think you could argue putting them, in either one of those. But let's go on to Arcane Rising. Let's go into the second. I'm gonna preface this real quick. This is very off brand of me, but I'm no Staxwell, but I was looking on TCG Player earlier, and Grasp of the Arknight from Arcane Rising is like $40 right now. $40. Yeah, the Rune Blades right now, they suck. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But they're going to print another busted Rune Blade. And that's one of the best pieces of equipment in the game. If you in Arcane Rising is the shortest print unlimited set in the game. If you do not have a Grasp of the Arknight, please go pick yourself up one. And then go watch Staxwell and see if he mentions it. He probably already has. I have no idea. I watch his stuff every now and again. I haven't caught his last video. But that sucker was $40. Like what I was skimming through the Facebook marketplace or whatever, and somebody was selling one. I was like, there's no way it's $40, bro. And I verified it and I was like, dang. But that's insane. That card's $40. So we live in a world where cross wrap is more than grasp. Amen to that. And we're about to talk about why. Azalea. Let's talk about Azalea. I think Azalea is fucking phenomenal. Be honest with you. I think she's great. I think that the more aggressive Dromai gets, the better Azalea gets into it. I'm not saying it's favored. I'm not going to go there. All I'm saying is the more aggressive the Dromai gets, you're running Crown of Dominion, right? The shit don't block. You're running, you practically have no armor if you run Snapdragons and Crown of Dominion, right? And you have a lot of on-hit effects that are really good. In no way am I saying it's favored for Azalea. However, I am saying that the more aggressive the Dromai leans, which Tome is kind of forcing them into that direction, I think she's really fucking good. I don't know how to explain. Not S tier. Don't get me wrong. She's not S tier, right? She got some consistency issues. Let's be 100% here. She got some consistency issues. The only non-Rune Blade deck that can kill itself. Oh, sorry, Leviathan, but it is what it is, And so I'm going to say you could argue this, but I think the flexibility of Dash is going to hedge her up a little bit more. And I know what people are thinking. I know what you guys are thinking. Warmongers, right? However, every day we get closer to Lexi LLing, we get closer to Warmongers leaving the format, right? Viserai already sucks. You don't need it for him, right? You don't need Warmongers for Viserai. So once Lexi leaves the format, right, then I'm going to be honest with you. Why are you playing Warmongers right now? Lexis have already solved it, right? They've already figured out ways to play around it. You might be positive when you play it, but 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say that you're probably net even or actually down on value when you play Warmongers. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it's a good card in the format right now. So I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna do it like that. I think Azalea is pretty good. I think Azalea is in a very good spot. And when Lexi leaves and like Fai takes that spot or something, I don't, we'll talk about that when it gets here. But I think Azalea's in a fantastic spot. It's doing everything you want to do, right? So let's talk about the one hero that's better than Azalea in Arcane Rising. I'm just kidding. I couldn't keep a straight face. So there's this hot dog water hero, right? News for everybody. Briar's gone. Rosetta Thorn's gone. We have Viserai kind of trying to find a new identity. You have a couple options. You can reduce your cost curve to 1 cost, so you can trade all your shrills and stuff like that, and your Spellblade Assaults for like Spellblade Strike, Consuming Volition, Meet and Greet, stuff like that. So you trade all your 2 for 6s, your 2 for 7s for 1 for 4s. Good news is the 1 for 4s have more on-hit effects to kind of push the rate up a little bit. The bad news is you make Mavrian Skies dog shit because you are attaching an on-hit effect to a lower attack power card, right? Does that make sense? If you put a red Mav on a Shrill and it goes to 7, they have to block all the way up to 7 to stop the 3 rune chance, whereas now you're placing on a 4 attack and it just ain't it, right? Is it okay? Like, sure. It's not the worst thing you could be doing. Or you could just swap Rosetta Thorn. You keep the exact same list and just swap Rosetta Thorn for Reaping Blade. That is another option. The problem is you're going to lose a lot of your closing power. And what made this matchup so favorable were moves like, going 2 into Chromai and then 2 toward Dromai, right? So there was absolutely 0 value wasted. Being able to do that with an Ashwing, Kyloria, Chromai, all those dragons was massive. And now you're just killing the dragon and not really doing... you're not applying any pressure to the Dromai player. So you're kind of... This matchup, it's probably Dromai favorite now, to be honest with you. I know it's crazy to say, but it probably is. I'm going to put him there. And then also, I have to reference it because it is a possibility, right? You have the very slow Viserai that runs either the Scepter or the book, like mentioned in the chat, or you could even run Reaping Blade and just kind of sit there, and it just builds up rune chance and plays like a value game with Arc Knights and Ninth Blades and whatever the specialization is called, Arc Knight Ascendancy, I think is the name of it, and just kind of value from there. Basically, build up rune chance with like red, yellow, blue, orange, reduced to rune chance, all the colors and then some. Just kind of messing around with the color palette, and they just build up rune chance and go. The problem is like these decks right here just don't give you the space to do that is the problem. Especially with Dromai going more aggressive. She's applying a lot of pressure while building the board state. And if you block with your poppers in that deck, it's literally your only threats, right? It's not just the threats you want. It's your only threats. So I'm going to put Viserai at the top of C tier. We could see him bump up to B. I could see a world where that happens. It depends on... I'll tell you what. I think currently he's here. But if the format shifts in a way to where 4 is a valid breakpoint most of the time, we could see him go up here. Does that make sense? Is if we can go to the Nebula Blade build with the 1 for 4s, Mauve Skies, 1 for 4, Nebula Blade, and 4 maintains like a solid breakpoint, and there's not a lot of armor in the format, I think he can scoot up to here, maybe even here. But right now, where things stand, I think you got to put him there. Just being honest with myself. So now we have to talk about the man with an attitude, right? Got to talk about Kano. Let's walk it through. I think the more aggressive the Dromai gets, you're lacking the blues. I think the Kano matchup might actually gotten a little better against Dromai. That's just off the top of my head. I haven't meditated on it or anything like that. But like, just thinking about it, you probably were only running 3 to 5 blues where you used to run like 7 or 8. So you have less blues, and tome is cool, but if they kill you in response, it's not as cool. And so not entirely sure about that. I'm just speculating that the Kano matchup got a little better. And Kano versus Dromai is a lot better for Kano. That's what I thought, Peter. That's what I thought. Just off the top of my head. Obviously, this shit hasn't changed. It's still unfavorable. This isn't great either with inertia floating around. This has kind of been one of your harder matchups in the first place, right? Thamai, Oasis, Sand Cover. I don't know if they're running Oasis anymore, to be honest with you. Not entirely sure. Once again, I am in no way saying Kano is favored into Dromai. All I'm saying is that Dromai's shift is a plus for Kano. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So I think that is a net positive for Kano. Azalea's kind of bad. Forces the game to a speed that Kano is kind of uncomfortable. Same thing with Lexi's pure aggression. You have Natty AB2 that's very convenient. A lot of blues. Tekla core is pretty good, those type of actions. Yeah, so you're just not performing well to these heroes up here. Plain and simple. I don't think Kano's bad. I think he's actually a pretty decent pick. I'd probably put him at the bottom of B currently. Like I said, once we get more heroes on the board, stuff might start flying around, might move somebody up, down one. We'll talk about it at the end as we kind of close out our thoughts. So that concludes us for Arcane Rising. Okay, let's go to, oh God, Monarch. Is there anybody left? Oh yeah, Bolton. Okay. Now, Bolton's a bit of a hot topic, right? He got another $15 legendary. So what can he do with it is the question. It is an upgrade. Don't get me wrong. You get Temper on the head. So it's another 3 block. Theoretically, he is the hero that can have the most consistent amount of armor in any game, period. Actually, I take that back. With Guardian getting the boots, Guardian takes the cake. But Bolton is right there behind, right? And so Bolton has the most armor if you don't want to give people quicken tokens. So what did it help, though? You can shortcut the combo. You can do all those things. It makes it a little bit more flexible. The problem is nothing's fundamentally changed, right? Dromai can block with the dragons and turn off Bolton's hero ability. Can mitigate that damage during the combo turn and really build up that board presence, because when you're setting up a combo, they're just establishing a board and applying a lot of pressure. You have enough poppers to kind of slow them down a little bit, but the first chroma you run into, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. You have inertia tokens from both Lexi and Azalea, so setting up the combo is much, much, much more difficult. And then you're pretty favored into dash because all of her cards are attacks or they don't block, right? So that's pretty good that you're good into dash. But the other 3, you just get dunked on. So Bolton, just is not it. I'm going to put him between Viserai and Rhinar. I can think of a little bit more of a reason to play Bolton over Rhinar, but not a whole lot. You might could sneak some like sneaky fatigue strategy against Lexi and gain a little bit of edge there, but I think you're still losing on these two pretty hard. Pretty hard. Which of the 3 new mechs are you most excited for? Definitely Dash IO. Definitely Dash IO. Me personally. Okay. So, let's go ahead and finish up Monarch with good old Levia. Now, this is an interesting one, right? Because when she first got the upgrade via the Demi Hero and all of those things, everybody was super high on her, right? We saw Pat be top 8, 2 events, right? 2, I think it was a PTI event and a Battle Harden. Might have been 2 Battle Hardens. I don't remember. But he did really well. A lot of people did really well with her. I say really well. They got into top 8 with Levia, which was like the new thing, right? And with that being said, people were really high on her. And then when that season came around, people just abandoned her because I'll tell you why I'm not high on this hero, and I don't really need another reason. I was sitting down at the table talking to Pat. Exactly, we were just chatting, and Ethan came up and sat down beside us and was just saying he can't play it anymore, man. Like at big events, he was talking about how he gets like not a lot of opportunities to actually play the events because he's doing the whole broadcasting thing with Savage Feats. That playing a high variance hero was just killing him. So if the guy that's been playing it from day one and has kind of like held that torch said it's not a good thing to play, like I kind of just have to hit the I believe button, right? And it also just so happened to support my idea as well. So anytime you get confirmation from the person, it's probably a solid guess. Is she horrible? Absolutely not. She can do some powerful things, but at the end of the day, oh, you are on the I can't tell if this is sarcasm. If so, what changed, Ethan? I gotta know. What changed? He said, no, I'm on Levia. S tier. That has to be sarcasm. That has to be. Oh, I know what it was, Ethan. I know. You can play Slay. It fixes everything. A 0 cost red instant that doesn't block, and you can blow up the angel you never see. Is that what it is? Oh, well, see, Ethan, I can respect that because I also just got out of a abusive relationship. And so I understand where you're at, Ethan. The difference is I can't. I was forced out of my vicious cycle. So, that's... Yeah, no, I get it, Ethan. I get it, Ethan. I should have stopped playing Briar a hot minute ago, but, had to do it because I enjoyed it. At the end of the day, as simple as that. So my placement for Levia, I guess, if I want to be correct, she's got to be better than Dory. It's got to be like there could be actually probably a little bit better than Bravo. You're more aggressive, can close out the game better against Dromai, I think. Chromai Dust means a little less in this matchup because you are so aggressive. You have Carrying Husk to shut down big turns on Azalea. Not sure about this matchup 100%, and this one can kind of be iffy. Yep. Post Lexi and Briars herself. Yep. People are so scared of randomness. Yep. Worst matchup yourself. We're on opposite ends of the LL spectrum. Oh, it's so true. It's so true. So I'm going to have to place her there. I think she's actually a tad bit better than Bravo. Hopefully Dagon's not in here. He probably doesn't agree. But I think she just has more tools available to her. Now, if Bravo, I'm telling you now, whatever that card, what is it, Boulder Smash that came in the round the table or whatever, that only came in blue and yellow, the one that the crush effect is discard a card from hand, if they printed that card in red, Bravo's A tier. It's not even close. It's not even close. But because they didn't print that card in red, they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. Bravo is not B tier. I would Boulder Drop. That's the one. That's the one. I said, what did I say? Boulder Smash? Yeah, that's not it. Bravo is not B tier, LOL. I would love to hear the reasoning. Let me know. So that is going to conclude us for Monarch. And guess what? Tales of Aria, we only have... No. We're done. We're done with Tales of Aria. That was hard. I love Levia since her massive fridge with husk. Yep, makes her easy. Yep, absolutely. But they didn't print it. Absolutely. We wouldn't have these. That's a fact, Farrah. What am I thinking? That's a fact. Okay, so we get to skip Tales of Aria because Briar's just hanging out down there. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. But we got to move on. Bravo's not B tier. He's C. Oh, man. Okay, so let's move past Tales of Aria. And now we have to go into Uprising. So that means we got to talk. Well, we've already done Dromai, so we're a third the way there. Let's go ahead and talk about Icelander. All right, Ray, if you're in the chat, let me know. You got me on this one last time. For those of you who don't know, the last tier list that I made, I put Icelander in like C tier or whatever, and then Rhea just like back-to-backs 2 battle hardens in the US and just makes me look like an idiot. And when I posted today that I was doing this stream or whatever, I put it out on Twitter and she got me good. I mean, she got me good. I said, doing the tier list later, you know? And she said, can't wait to see what you put near the bottom so I know what to play for PQCs. Oh, it was an absolute savage move, but it was hilarious. It was solid. I had a good laugh about it. Oh, we got Smoke in the building too. He knows a thing or two about Icelander. Just taking down that most recent PTI event. Congrats on that, boss. Yeah, we got to talk about Icelander, right? I think the more, correct me if I'm wrong, all you Dromai people and Icelander mains in the chat, where my thought process is the more aggressive the Dromai leans, the worse the Icelander matchup. That's just like where the natural conclusion comes to in my head. Basically, you know, Dromai had the ability to lean on that 7 to 9 blue package for the big dragon and kind of weather some of those disruptive effects or whatever the case may be a lot more, right? So please tell me if you disagree and give me a reason. More importantly, doesn't add a lot of value if you just say nope, not right. You know, just tell me why. Does it get better if Dromai removes all blues? She's easier to... Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yep, that's exactly what I'm saying. So I think that this matchup gets a a little bit better for Icelander, right? And for Lexi, I think it's still probably I think Azalea is a bad matchup for Icelander as well. That's what I've been told. I've tested a little bit of it, not a whole lot. Yeah, they're still playing 6 blues, but didn't it used to be like 8, pushing on 9 sometimes? Yeah, so you're down 3 to 4 blues, right? Yeah, I know you're still playing a package of blues, because you can't give up the passing mirage, right? Or at least, I guess you give up one of them maybe, but overall, point being, I think that the Dromai matchup gets a little bit better the heavier the Dromai players lean into the Dromais. That's the number one point that I wanted to make there. Lexi matchup hasn't really changed, so there's nothing really going on there. And as far as Azalea, I really think Azalea is a bad matchup for Icelander. I could be wrong. I could be wrong with that. But you can also play Tome through hate. That is absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. But it does limit your plays because you have to pitch. You have to pitch the card before you draw. So you're really going in blind, basically. Right? If they respond. No, you get to pitch, which gives you a resource. Then when you activate Furnace, you have to give up 2 cards. That's the thing. That's the thing. Yeah, Thamai's still good. Yeah. Once again, I'm not saying one's favored or one's not. I'm just saying that the matchup, I think, leans a little bit more in favor of Icelander than it used to. I'm not saying it's favored. I'm just saying it got better. So we know Icelander's going to land in the A tier. It's just how far. I think with the rise of this is Icelander's probably worst. It could be debated between these two, which one is Icelander's worst matchup, but they're both. I think Dash is definitely a worse matchup for Icelander than Lexi. But I'm going to have to give. I think these heroes are kind of tied. I think they're kind of tied. We're going to leave it like this, but I think you could put it either way. You could do this, you could do that, whatever you wanted. You could go either way, but I think that that's kind of where she will land. She's obviously very good. I think Dash will get an uptick. This dude can't find AB to save his life, right? So you're not really getting any. You're not getting punished over here on the new heroes. So a lot going. A lot of good stuff going for Icelander for sure, which is great. Everybody, that's fantastic because the better she is, the more likely she is to LL, and then we'll have no ice in the format. Better buy your thaws now, right? That's a joke. Please don't go buy out thaw. Terrible idea. Why have you raised Azalea stock since last meta? Because the more aggressive the Dromai matchup, the more aggressive the Dromai's lean, the better the Azalea matchup. And that was one of the main things holding Azalea back. And Warmongers is slowly making its way out of the format, not into it. It also depends on which version of Icelander versus... yeah, of course. Absolutely. Okay. Let's keep going. We got to talk about Fai to finish up Uprising. Okay. Now, this is a very interesting one, right? Because this hero is just waiting for this one to leave. Once this hero leaves, and especially if these two hero leaves, then like Fai could be the business, right? Like I mentioned earlier, I don't think the Fai versus Dromai match is as good as it used to be. I still think it's Fai favored, but it's not like an 80-20 like it used to be. I'd probably put it at like a 65-35 in favor of Fai. Still a bad matchup, but I don't think it's anywhere near what it used to be, given the... Just realized you put Levia over Kano. Shaking my head. Oh, sorry, Peter. Sorry, Peter. If I have a choice between my sideboard plan, hating on Dash or Icelander, which would you choose? I would say Wizard always inherently has a lower population of players because of the difficulty to play. So it would depend on what my goal would be. If my goal was to win the event, I think you'd have a harder time getting over an Icelander. So I would tech toward it. If you're just trying to have a good day, make day 2 of whatever event, have a positive record kind of mentality, because maybe you're playing on a more casual level and not taking it like super competitively, then I would cater toward Dash simply because with the new cards, there's a decent shot that there could be more Dash than Icelander. Is kind of where my idea is. But I can tell you that if your plan is to win the event, you're going to have to make it through an Icelander at some point. Because the people who do play it have been playing it for a while, and they're typically very specialized players like Lucas Oswald, Dan Rakowski, players like that. They mean the business with that hero, right? You got to make it through. So that would be my best advice in that situation, okay? So let's finish talking about Fai. Nothing's changed on the Lexi matchup. Dromai matchup got a little worse. You're still terrible into Lexi. You're slightly unfavored into Icelander, but you're probably with Twin Drive and the ability to shortcut Max V, and both have the ability to brick. Dash a lot less, but if Dash bricks, you can block 3. If 5 bricks, you can block 2. So I think this matchup's probably 50-50, to be honest. I really do think... that this matchup is probably... So you don't really have a whole lot of good matchups, right? You're losing this one, you're winning this one, you're losing this one, you're losing this one, and you might win this one because it's 50-50. So you're losing 3 of the 2, you're breaking even, and you're winning 1. Not where you want to be. Now, when this hero goes, okay, we can talk about it. We can have that discussion. So, but I got to go off of right now. So I'm going to say that Fai is actually right where he's at. I think is a good spot for Fai. Maybe slightly better if you go the more defensive route. Maybe there's more equity to be gained if you can go the defensive route without giving up the Dromai match in some way. I have a couple ideas, but we'll see. But yeah, the normal aggressive Art of War, Spreading Flames, Fai, I think you're probably sitting around the bottom of B tier just because you don't have any surprise factor on Lexi or anything like that, and it's not a very conducive situation. So I'm going to put Fai exactly where he is. And we'll call that one a day. Okay. So what do we got next after Uprising? What do we have after Uprising? Oh, Arachne? Didn't he just come out? All right. Next. No, just kidding. Let's actually talk about him. I don't want to deny anybody. If there is the 2 Arachne players in the world in chat, I don't want to deny you coverage, right? So let's have as serious of a conversation as we can about Arachne, right? Into Lexi, I think he has potential, right? Obviously, the threat of fatigue, contract. He did get the new card, already gone, or already dead. Yeah, already dead. We're going to final answer. And then the Shriek Razors, the one in the arm slot. Unfortunately, I think Flick Knives is just better. Unfortunately, because the more silver regeneration items you have, the more they compete with each other, and you just don't have enough silver generation to feed all three on a consistent basis. And it's the weakest out of the three. That's the way that I'm looking at it. Fai has the best deck in open format on Tower Charlie. That's a fact. That's a fact. 30 Phoenix Forms and 30 Phoenix Flames. If you haven't tried it, try it. Okay. So you're pretty good here. You auto lose this. You're probably not that good here. You have some D-reacts, but not enough. And you're going to get... If the Azalea player is good, you're probably losing that one. This is an auto lose. I don't know anything about this matchup, but the rest of them you're pretty bad into. So unfortunately, Already Dead is a good card. But it's not what Arachne needed to, like, just because you have one more contract popper doesn't mean you're winning the Dromai match, right? If that was the case, Viserai would be winning that match, 13 weeks ago. But it's just not the case. So we got to put Arachne, unfortunately, in D tier. I think Arachne with Already Dead and Shriek Razors is better. Probably somewhere near the end of B. Like before or after Kano. I don't know about that. I think he is better. But I still think he's really bad. And not only that, but you have the conversation that has to be had, right? Why are you playing this hero over this hero? It's a valid question. A valid question that has to be answered, right? You can't just, they are in competition with each other. So, does Arachne get better as Dash IO gets better? Arachne's ability directly interfere with... Well, if it's an item, wouldn't Dash IO do really good against Arachne? Because if there is an item up there, they're going to play it. If it's not an item and you move anything to the bottom, they get to look again when they get priority. So, like, Regicide, the Royal Dromais. I'm gonna let you in on a secret, okay? The Dromai players could show up to that match naked and win the game. Okay? I don't know if you know that. And you don't have to present equipment. So literally all the Dromai player has to do is not present the helm and then take sideboard tome out of the deck, and they will win the game. That's why Regicide is kind of a joke, unfortunately. Viserai gets to dominate. Yeah, gets to dominate. Yeah, absolutely. Viserai is just strictly better. Exactly. Vero said it too. Yep. So I think he's still D tier, unfortunately. Simple as that. Next we have to talk about Riptide and Azuri. Let's go ahead and talk about Riptide first. Once again, we have to have a valid reason to be playing Riptide over Lexi and Azalea. It's not there. There's nothing. You auto lose this one. You're losing this one. Not 100% sure about this one, but you're probably losing that one too. And you're losing this one, and you might actually win this one with Riptide, to be honest. But you're losing all the other four. So I'm not a fan where Riptide currently sits. Not a fan currently. Kind of good into dash since all traps activate, but do they, right? If they choose not to boost and they choose not to trigger induction chamber. Do they activate? I don't think he's the worst deck in the format. I'd probably put him at the second worst deck in the format. Surprise. Yeah. He did get the new card, and I love the design of the new card, but it's not like, oh, an above rate blue is exactly what Dromai needed, or what Riptide needed to win his games. And yeah. I think this is where we got to put Riptide. However, I could be convinced that he's C tier. I don't hate it because I think he does have the tools to kind of combat Lexi a little bit. You'd have to be like a really good pilot, and you'd have to have some like serious gym luck, basically. And with Dromai getting more relevant, Riptide's getting worse by the day. Unfortunate. But Riptide is a sleeper deck in my eyes. Just needs someone to cook up a crazy brew. Be the change, Marvin. Be the change. Put my boy on C tier. I mean, yeah, Prism's got to go somewhere. We'll run it. We'll run it. We will run it. Okay, let's talk about Azuri. If you talked to me before Bright Lights came out, I would say that Azuri is probably A tier. But with that being said, you're losing this matchup. You're supposed to win this matchup. You lose this matchup. You probably win this matchup. Could be hard. And I know what everybody's going to say here. I know what everybody's going to say here. Everybody's going to say that but you can shred. You can shred the Evos. Well, who gives a shit? That's, if I'm being 100% honest, who cares? It's like this here is not going to be played that much, and you're like really strong into that, sure. I'm going to be honest. I think we got to go like here. I kind of like the idea of bumping Katsu up temporarily and then putting Azuri at the top of B. See, Taylor's trying to psyop. He wants to play Lexi, and he doesn't want anybody to bring Azuri. So what you need to do, if you're going to Calling Dallas, bring Azuri just for Taylor. Just for Taylor. You don't just lose to Dromai. Yeah, you lose to Icelander. Lose to a lot. You hit a Dromai and you lose your next 3 games. Yeah, because you get into the wrong bracket with the wrong decks. Absolutely, that's a good point, actually. You might have been joking a little bit, but there's actually a good point behind it. One bad matchup and you get in the wrong bracket really quickly, and you're just toast. You're just toast. Not sure if you're going that deep with the comment or not, but yeah. So I'm going to put Azuri at the top of B and then kind of move Katsu up just to paint a better picture. All right, let's talk about the handicaps. Intellect 3.5. Intellect 3.5 over here. I want to place her high, obviously. I'm biased, but at the end of the day, we can't do it. We can't do it. We have to put Vincent. Have to. We just have to. She's definitely going in C. It's just where at in C, right? You're not beating this half the time. You're definitely not beating this. You're not beating this. You're probably not beating this. I mean, you may could beat this, and you may could beat this. But like the rest of it, best of luck. Maybe there. I think that's really good placement. Oh, Vincent is a ball to play. It's so fun. It's so fun. But you know what's more fun than playing Vincent? Winning. That is more fun. Or how my people in Alabama say it, more funner. You know what's more funner? Roll time. Oh man, how to beat Vincent equals present a deck, bro. Andrew is the GOAT. For those of you who don't know, go to the U.S. national coverage, and at some point, Andrew went undefeated in day one. It was being interviewed by Brian Gottlieb, and he had just beaten a Vincent, and he was like, he was asking Andrew, Vincent can be a tough hero to play against, and like, you seem like you had a really good plan. How do you feel about playing against Vincent? And he goes, yeah, all you got to do or he said, how do you beat Vincent? And then Andrew's like, just present a flesh and blood deck. Oh, it was too good. It was too good. It was actually hilarious. Vincent is better than Viserai. Gotta disagree with that one. Don't say it's my only deck. Oh no. Why is Bolton not best C tier hero or low B? Pharaoh, get out of here. Get out of here. Bravo does pretty good into this meta. Does he? Does he? I don't know about that, Chief. Losing this one now that they're more aggressive. Losing this one now that the cat's out of the bag, that Bravo can run blue fighting spirit and fatigue. Sure, you can win this one. You lose this one. You lose this one. You're supposed to lose this one if they don't bring Zephyr Needle. So now we got to talk about Prism. Actually. I think that's the spot. I think that's actually the spot. They said just leave her off. Just leave her off. I mean, like, basically, it's actually kind of crazy that I would even consider doing that. But in all actuality, right? In all actuality, there is a reason to play Arachne, right? If you're trying to pick, if you have a unique strategy and you're trying to pick on some Lexis, like, there is a strategy that is conceivable that, you could at least entertain. You could have a constructive conversation about. You'll be wrong, but at least you can talk about it, right? With Prism chat, you lose this. I tell you what, you lose this before you sit down. You ever lost a match because they revealed a certain type of play mat? That's how good this matchup is. This matchup is horrible. This matchup is bad. This matchup is bad. This used to be free. This one you get high octane to sleep. You would be wrong. Why you do it to me? You can have a conversation, but you know. Icelander matchup is for okay, I'll concede that one. Okay, you beat one of the 6. One of the 6. If you're gonna beat one of the 6, play Arachne and beat Lexi. I don't know what to tell you. Everything you're saying for the past 90 minutes is the 2 remaining elemental heroes are toxic. And they can't leave soon enough. Then and only then will the meta open up significantly. I mean, so if anybody did not the French podcast, the Eye of Affinity or whatever, they did an interview with James White, and he talked about like a phase 2 vision of the meta within Flesh and Blood. He talked about when Voltaire leaves and Icelander as well, how they're trying to craft a game that placates around that situation, which kind of makes sense with the power level that they've printed recently, right? So it kind of looks like they went too far up with Monarch and Tails and then Uprising, and they're trying to like level it back out, right? It's kind of like what they're trying to do. And I think that once these 3 heroes are gone, I think we'll be in a very like WTR-esque kind of situation where there'll be a lot of trading and stuff like that. Nobody's blowing you out in 2 turns, stuff like that. Briar's gone, obviously, so that leaves the 3 new ones. Okay. Now, once again, chat, especially with these last 3, voice your opinion, please. Please voice your opinion. Don't just tell me I'm wrong, because I'm not. But more so, don't tell me wrong. Don't tell me I'm wrong. Don't tell me I'm right. Tell me why I'm right. Tell me why I'm wrong. And let's have a conversation about it. And, go back and forth and kind of say, oh, well, I think this. You think this. Well, what about this? Let's have that conversation, right? So let's talk about, I think, the easiest to talk about first. Okay? It's old Mad Max over here. Okay? We got to talk about this one. Okay? So, the way that I evaluate this hero is basically the way that I value this hero is I compare it very closely to Dash, right? Because they're kind of trying to do the same thing. Okay? And basically, let's just give Max the benefit of the doubt. Let's just give Max the benefit of the doubt that his boost/aggressive strategy is better than Dash's. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying let's role play that scenario. Okay? The question ultimately comes down. I think the question ultimately comes down to, if he is better at the aggressive plan, is him being better at the aggressive plan better than giving up the pistol package, right? That's the ultimate question, right? And then if he's not better at the aggressive plan, then there's no reason to play him, right? And then, of course, you have the mechanoid strategy and everything kind of built in. The problem with that idea is you can boost away your mechanoid. You have to have the hyperdrivers kind of set up for when you see it to be like super efficient with it, which is not, I've done it several times. It's not the most difficult thing in the world. The weapon's pretty good. You got to solve the fatigue problem. Like, there are some things there, right? It has potential. Is it doing anything groundbreaking? I don't think so. We're definitely not talking in the top 2 categories with this hero, in my belief. More than willing to hear you guys out if you disagree. I would love to hear the counterpoints. Let me read through some of these in chat. Max will be like Fai and early uprising. Okay. Cool, but worse than Dash. I think he's right there behind Fai. I mean, could be. Could be. Max can fatigue himself more and is more susceptible to fatigue. I agree. Because he doesn't have like a strong strategy that he can pivot into. He can go all in on the mechanoid, but it's very conditional on whether you boost those away. And it's not just like, oh, you have 3 copies, you can boost one away. Well, it's not really that easy. If you boost it away, then you have a longer distance you have to go before you see the next one. And you might just get rid of too many cards doing that, right? It's kind of the idea. You get to crank and bank every turn. Couldn't agree more. Max needs a better weapon. I mean, it's a conditional weapon is the problem, but that might have to be the way you have to kind of like balance his aggression, right? Okay with a sideboard for fatigue, but I think the aggro, yep. I think there's mid-range match. Yep. Max has more damage than Fai. Does he? Does he? Prism easy B tier. Oh man. Not with Dromai flying around. With Max being the 3rd best aggro deck is worse than the mind games of Dash. Are you fatigued or not? When you sit down across from Max, you know what type of plan they will have. Yep. Yeah. It's definitely a fun deck to play. Yep. I agree with most of these statements. Absolutely. Yep. So, with that being said, most of what you guys said in chat, I pretty much agree with, right? He does some cool things. He does some fun things, but is he doing it better than Dash? It's probably relatively about the same, but I don't think it's worth giving up the pistol plan, if I'm being 100% honest. Let's go there. I like that. You fight the best deck. Let's go there. Let's move Dory around a little bit. I didn't like that positioning. Let's put Max there. I think that's a good spot. He could be a little farther up, but he's got to prove it. He's got to prove it. All right. Let's talk about Techo Daddy. Now, I've had an in-depth discussion with Peter during the last stream. I did some testing before that event. I did some testing after that event. Okay. And kind of, I'm going to be honest. I'm not too high on him. I think that Lexi doesn't give you the breathing room to set up. He's gonna prove it. What has Levia and Azuri proved? Top 8 at like major events? Maybe? Peter, I know you're really high on Techo, but man, I just don't see it. Like, I tried your strategy where you like not focusing on boosting and you're just playing like the Evos out of hand and like scrapping them as a last ditch effort. And it just was not efficient enough. I just couldn't justify it. I think that these heroes don't give you the runway to be able to set up. Once Lexi's gone, I think he will get a lot better. What non-person nationals was that? Oh man, didn't Azuri like final a calling in the UK? Didn't two of them or something like that? I don't know. Yeah, the top two decks you're just not doing good into, unfortunately. You can probably beat Azalea because like on the turn she doesn't dominate. You can take a little bit of damage, set up an Evo, and then have it for when she does. Icelander, you ought to lose. Dash, you probably have like a decent game there. Katsu's, you could probably work with Katsu. You just block when he has the starter and then set up Evos when he doesn't. Because he can have those bricky turns and you can like leverage those. Tier list is kind of skewed thanks to Lexi and Icelander still existing. It's the world's meta that I'm really excited about. Well, as soon as they're gone, I will be doing another one. I am also excited with Lexi leaving. The question is, does Icelander go out with her? That's the real question. I think the list having Lexi and Icelander makes the list just not really change from before the... Yeah, really the main thing behind the list is Dromai, I think, takes the cake for best deck. And stuff kind of adjust around that, right? That's why Azuri is slightly worse than she was before and things like that. What are you cooking? Oh, man. People need to see the sauce. As someone who's played Azalea for almost a year straight and absolutely loves her, I can absolutely say she does not belong at the top of A. You have some of the worst matchups under her. Well, keyword is what you said. The worst matchups are under her, right? That's exactly where you want them to be. You want those bad matchups under her, right? Let's get a grudge match between Peter on Techo and you and Lexi. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see it. I would love to see it. Currently, I think he's only less than 50% matchups are Lexi and Icelander. What? There's no shot you're beating a Fai, right? What's happening? I mean, Peter, if what you're saying is true, then you've won Dallas, right? Well, I'll take that back. You've won Worlds because if you're under 50% against Lexi, then, you know, like, I don't see it. But, man, like, I hope you do it. I hope you do it. I hope you go all the way with it. I would love to see it. I played around with it because, like, I came to my conclusion before the last stream, and then I talked with you, and I was like, well, maybe I missed something. And I went back and ran over things and stuff like that, and it just wasn't doing it. Like, just not enough there, I think. Not enough time to get where you're trying to go, unfortunately. But, Peter, I know you're a solid player, and if anybody can do it, it is you. So, however, I have to place him off the best of my knowledge in the tech that has been revealed. And I think I kind of want to put him at the top of C, if I'm being 100% honest. I could see an argument for right beside Maxx. I think this is like a real serious spot, kind of right there. It's just this matchup is horrible. This one you could probably do some wonky fatigue thing, and this one's probably deep. You ought to lose this one. Not sure. Not as good as Maxx. No shot. This is where I gotta put him. I'm gonna put him at the bottom of B. That's where I'm gonna throw him. Until proven wrong by Peter. That is where Techo Daddy will be. Okay. Yeah. Final answer. That's where we're running. I recorded my tier list today for my channel, coming out on Saturday, most likely, and my stuff is a lot different. I'd love to see it. I would love to see it. I think there is an argument, like it could be here. The one deck, I will say this, the one deck that I think has the most potential to kind of like jump up out of this area is Viserai. I know that sounds crazy, but I think Viserai, if people move away from Warmongers too much, I think he has a possibility to kind of like go up there and solve something without Rosetta Thorn. I will say that. So like for my last tier list, I made it, and Icelander was in C tier, and I said she was my dark horse. So my dark horse for this list right here, of course we still got to do -IO. I'm gonna say Viserai is my dark horse. And now we're gonna talk about -IO. This is my favorite one to talk about. I think there is so much potential with this hero. The problem is, okay, I think she'll end up there. Easy. Okay, I'm being 100% honest with you. Probably even there. Okay, however, with that being said, I think that's where she will end up. Okay? The problem is Lexi. Lexi, I think, is going to create an environment where we're unable to solve -IO. Right? So much pressure from the beginning, a lot of on-hit effects, things like that. But once Lexi leaves the format, I think is where Dash will kind of find her very positive, footing, basically. So I think, this is my prediction, I think after Lexi leaves, she will be A tier. Okay? I'm gonna put that, in the future basket, if you will. However, we have to talk about now with Lexi existing. Okay, unfortunately. Just is what it is, right? With that being said, we do have to place her, so we're going to have to put her... Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know. I think my knee-jerk reaction is here. What do we think, chat? Talk to me. Am I crazy? Am I too high? Am I too low? What are we talking about? Katsu top of B. -IO after regular Dash. Okay, I mean, that's where I said she would end up after Lexi left. So we're kind of on the same page. Just, I think the timing will be a little different. I don't think Lexi's going to let her get that high, unfortunately. Techo Voss in C tier. I mean, he could, bottom of B, C, it's all the same, right? It is all the same. But I would love to hear it from you, chat. Why -IO is not at the top of B, or close to the top of B. Feels too high as of right now. Dory better than Azuri. Gonna have to disagree with that one. Prism too low to be? Yeah, that was more of a joke piece. I mean, I mean, I mean, Z definitely not B tier. Definitely not B tier. But I mean, I'm gonna be 100% honest. If Dromai did not exist, if Dromai and Lexi were gone, I think Prism could be B tier. I will concede that point. Okay. I think that Prism really could be in B tier, even like in the middle of the pack B tier, if Dromai and Lexi were not in the format. I 100% agree with that. We'll go back on our joke. Prism too high should be E tier. No, it can't be that mean. Dash is hard to build, so it might take a minute before she puts up numbers. Yeah, for sure. I think if Lexi left and Fai Rise-IO will still have the same problem. No, because Fai doesn't have as many on hits. I understand your thought process, and I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that Lexi's on hits apply way more pressure than Fai, right? Because Fai on hit, you have Salt the Wound and Mounting Anger, right? And Snatch. That's it. Whereas literally every card in this deck is an on hit effect. So it allows you to make trades a lot better. And Fai blocks a lot worse, right? And 3 of a kind, you can't do the whole Carrying Husk move, all that fun stuff. If Dash IO is B tier, then why isn't OG Dash in the same boat? What good does it do with starting with an item in the arena versus instant any item in the game? Well, that's a great question. So on a theoretical value, OG Dash starts at 10 higher value points than Dash IO from turn 0. Right? She starts with 4 more health and basically a Techo Pounder, which is a value of 6, right? Because it boosts 3 attacks by 2, so 2 times 3 is 6, plus the 4 life. You are in positive 10 value. So Dash IO, you have to increment higher than 10 value to make it worth it, right? Is the question. If you can do that, then you congrats. You've played this hero better than this hero. But that's the idea. It's the old problem of can you get to 11 value solely off of the hero ability and nothing more. Lexi's biggest issue for the meta that she causes. Why not play Lexi? Yep. I think Dromai's about to have something to say about that. Riptide low-key needs to be above Vincent if we're being real. I mean, it could be argued. Because starting with 1 or 2... Yeah. Well, Prism beats Bravos. I think Techo and Dash IO are hard to build overall. Might take a long time to figure out. Yep. Fully expect Dash IO to be a top deck going into Worlds. Yeah, that's I agree with you, Dark Odious. I think that right now she's here, but after Lexi leaves, I 100% think she's probably here. If I'm being 100% honest. So I'm right there with you. So I think I'm really happy with this placement. We could make the chart look a little better and say like Azalea there and maybe drop Tekla in here, you know. But I'm not too much of a strict stickler on like, you know, gotta have it all even or anything like that because it's not always the case, right? It's not always the case. So, this is where my tier list would be. This would be valid for calling Dallas, Taipei, Melbourne, and the ProQuest season, all the Battle Hardens up until the next banned and suspended announcement, which is about 2 weeks before Worlds. And then a lot will change and a lot more will change if Icelander also leaves. Dory B tier, I'm telling Josh. I'll tell him before you. I already have told him. Joke's on you. Also, a real question. How many adult heroes were pulled from your view? Z, that's actually a good point. I didn't see anybody pull one. I'll be honest with you. I went to 3 pre-releases, and I didn't see one be pulled. Wait, where's Briar? I wish, man. We can do an honorable mention. If Briar was in the format, where would she land? Done. No, I'm just kidding. I can't lie to myself. She'd probably be like right here, if I'm being honest. But she's not. So I can't even put her back. Jesus Christ. What did I do? Well, it's sold now. But anyway, that is my tier list. And where I think things will be. Like I said earlier, I think the dark horse for the PQ season and for the 3 callings is going to be Viserai. I think if people don't respect the Warmongers, I think he could actually make a top 8. It's entirely possible. With that being said, I think -IO moves up after Worlds significantly, at least A tier, at least. It's where we have a channel with Nathan and Josh when Will's a best. Once Lexi leaves, everybody's. Yep, absolutely. I pulled an adult max, but haven't seen anyone else pull too. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. So wait, what are you gonna play now? Well, I have made a decision that for Worlds, I'm either going to play something that beats Dromai or I'm going to play Dromai, probably. That is where my thought process is currently. As far as Dallas calling, I don't have a clue. I've been playing a lot of Dromai, I've been playing a lot of Azalea, I've been playing some Icelander, some Dash, a little bit of everything, even some Lexi. So I'm trying some fancy stuff, and once I realize that doesn't work, I'll start to zoom in on something and make a decision. No. Sad we don't get a lot of time to cook up World's Day. Yep, since Lexi. Absolutely. Well, we know she's gone, right? Just off of ProQuest, she'll be gone. So you can start cooking now. The problem is you won't know if Icelander's in the meta or not, which is pretty important to factor in. Now we're calling Vis low tier before Rosetta was banned. I don't think he's getting any better. Yeah, it's more the disrespect, right? I think everybody before, it was like everybody was on Warmongers, right? And Warmongers shuts them down pretty heavily. Whereas that's just not the case anymore. I think every single day that goes by, we're less and less on Warmongers. And that kind of opens up a window where he can possibly do something even after suffering the hit of losing Rosetta. So that's where my thought process is. So yeah, if we have any questions or anything, I'd love to answer them, talk about anything. Is anybody in the chat planning on going to Dallas? Let me know. I will be there. I'll be at Dallas. I'll be at Worlds. I will not be at Taipei, that's for sure. Taipei is a little far from Alabama. You'll be there judging? Awesome. Well, thank you for judging. It wouldn't be possible to play if there weren't people there judging. So thank you for the work that you do. Shane's going to Dallas, of course, because you're not that far away, right, Shane? You're just north of Dallas, right? Missouri. Yep, going to Dallas. -IO combo. Oh, that's Sasha, right? Oh man. All right. I don't know if you're willing to share it, Sasha, but I gotta hear this hyper scrapper for 26. What the hell happened? I gotta hear what happened. You posted that picture and I had to read it 3 times. I was like, what's happening here? I didn't know what to think of. I was like, okay, you had to use the resources that you got off of it to pump it in some way was my thought process. And I was like, but you can't pummel it because x equals whatever counts as 0 before x equals anything. So you can't like layer a bunch of pummels on it after you gain the resources, as cool as that would be. It's not possible. You theoretically could razor it, I guess. But that's bonkers if you're doing that. God, I gotta hear the story. Maybe not here. Message me. I gotta hear what it is. I'm intrigued. Why Azalea top of A? Because Warmongers is slowly making itself out of the format, I believe. She loses to Bravo almost every time. Yeah, the hero that's in B tier. It's okay. It's okay to lose to heroes in B tier. A good amount of pumps were layered. Okay. There's no resource driven pump. There's like fire breathing, exude, cards like that, but nothing that like pay X into something and pump. Huh. And you can't like slogism because you like, well, because it's lower cost, you can't even, just 13 and a half gas ups or something. I don't know. That's insane. Hyperdriver for 26. Achievement unlocked. I was just wondering, how does one roll Tide? We'll swing by Alabama. I'd love to show you. Before Warmongers was a thing, she wasn't any better. I mean, she top 8'd the Chicago event. She was routinely top 8ing most events, right? She top 8'd the Pro Tour. She top 8'd the calling directly after the Pro Tour. She like I don't know what you mean by like not doing anything. Azalea's been in most top 8s before Warmongers, after Outsiders, after she got Codex and stuff like that. She has been in most top 8s are just missing. Now, she hasn't won anything, but she's getting there. That makes it a respectable deck, right? But when I placed her there, I also did say that there is a lot of variance associated with the deck. Anytime you have hard cut ratios, you are increasing that consistency problem. Oh, also, Sasha, what time are you doing that thing for your game? I saw the thing on Twitter. I don't know if you have any spots available for Dallas, but I will be in Dallas, and if not, I'll be in Barcelona as well. I'd love to try the game if the time lines up. Just message me and let me know. A tide is a group of elephants. That is the correct answer. That's the correct answer. Good Azalea players know how to play around diplomacy. Absolutely. And there's some hedge there, right? You have rabbles and E-strikes and stuff like that. But like, it's really a gamble on the behalf of the person playing Warmongers, right? If you have an E-strike or a rabble in your hand, you really reduce the opportunity to, kind of play. You reduce the opportunity to extract value from your Warmongers because you're giving up a card and an action point to possibly stop them. So you need to get a card's worth of value plus the equivalent of an action point, which is about a value of 4.5 to 5 from your Warmongers. And if they can rabble into a decent arrow, you might get that. It might be break even. So you really didn't do anything. So it's, but some hands it can just ruin it, right? Some hands they can have 5 cards and, she can, you can take her almost her whole hand away basically. She competes well, yes, but she never makes it to the top, which I think makes her B tier. Several of the heroes you have B tier have won events or more consistent than she is. Well, a lot of it also is based on the improved matchup into Dromai as Tome forces the Dromais into the more aggressive leaning deck. Then Azalea gains a lot of equity into that matchup where it was previously one of her worst matchups. So effectively what's happened is she has gotten, I won't say favored, but her worst matchup has gotten a lot better. And I think when it's going to be the most represented deck or second most represented deck, I think there's a lot of equity to be gained there. Just attack. Just attack. I don't understand how Azalea plays around Warmongers when you literally can only play an arrow. Maybe a rabble. You have E-Strike. There's some options. Not a lot, right? Obviously. It doesn't feel comfortable. But like I said, I'm in the boat that every single day we are moving farther and farther away from Warmongers. So I'm factoring that into my placement. When we have a tier list or projected of the L format sometime soon, I'd be very interested in doing it. I can give you a little something right now, just kind of like where my thoughts at. Obviously, this is untested. This is just kind of off the dome where my thought process is. I think that combo Viserai is a little bit of a trap. My thought process there is you have hypothermia running around in the format. And there's a possibility that, and you also have Channel the Bleak Expanse, and a couple other, like in the Warmongers, obviously. So there's so many hate tools against that deck. I would love to play that deck again. It's actually my most favorite deck I've ever played, is Combo Viserai. So I really would love the opportunity to play that again. With that being said, the best deck in L format, it's not Chain. It's not Chain. It's not Viserai. I think it would be between Stubby Hammers 5 and Starvo is like where is... Well, see, combo Viserai with the new Runechant Generation card doesn't make any sense because you want to be using the discount on Sonata, not to just make more Runechants, is the problem. So... so like that new card doesn't help this in any way. Yep. When Azalea draws a brick, you can't block with it. 100% agree. Yeah, so my knee-jerk reaction as far as at the top of my LL list would be Stubby Hammers 5 just because it's out the gate quick, no variance, right? And Starvo because we don't talk about Starvo. They changed the rules about Runechants popping versus Spectra too. Yep. Do you think that Vin set is just missing cards to be good, or that the int penalty in her design too much of a barrier that will keep her... No, I do not agree with that notion. I think that they went very conservative for a very good reason, right? Chain broke the game for a very decent amount of time, and I think that they want to ride a very conservative line when developing her, which is perfectly valid, right? But all it takes, I tell you what, if they ever make a 1-cost Runegate card, do you understand what that does to that hero? Like a 1-for-5 or something like that. You can 1-card 6. Oh, it would be disgusting. It would be disgusting. So even with the hero ability, they have the power to really pump her. Will they do that? If I was LSS, I would be very hesitant about printing a one cost rune gate. But you know, there's some ways that they could manipulate it, right? Like maybe give it a really good on hit effect and make it like a 1 for 3, so it doesn't have a break point. You're still getting 4 value because you're banishing it and sending it, right? So it's a 1 card for 4, right? And it has a good like on hit effect or something, but only comes in for 3. Like that kind of situation would be balanced. But like if you started giving Vincent like 1 for 4s or 1 for 5s with Rune Gate on them, it's gonna get ugly quick. Never say never. Amen to that. I was thinking about the Go Again Runegate card and didn't understand why no one tried it. Then I remembered it costs 3 for some reason. Yep. The difference between Runegate 2 and Runegate 3 is as you go up in Runegate, it's not linear, right? It's exponential, unfortunately. And the difficulty to play it. They print some broken Vincent card. Yep. No, we're happy that she's not broken. It's a good thing. I mean, I'm sad about it because I love Runeblade. But at the end of the day, it's healthy for the game. So I enjoy it. Plunder Run is also free to plunder anyone along with Stubby. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Stubby's Fai is going to be something else. It's going to be something else. But chat, if you all don't have anything, I think that's gonna finish this up. Like I said, if you have any questions at all, I'm here to answer them. I'd love to. It can be about the tier list. It can be, I mean, I went on a tangent about LL. Ask me anything. I'll hang out for a little bit, answer some questions. My time is yours. Rosetta Thorn is mid. I better never. No, I'm just kidding. In LL format, it's not that exciting, to be honest. It's good, but what do you think there will be? What do you think will be the go-to aggro deck after Lexi goes? That's a very interesting discussion, and it kind of is dependent on whether Icelander goes along with it, right? You have a very plausible situation where, you know, like the knee-jerk reaction is like Fai, right? Fai moves up because he's the most consistent, right? And like Fai combats Dromai the best, but then you have Azalea to sit there and pick on Fai, and you also have Icelander to pick on Fai. And, you know, we could go back to being, you know, Wombat Dash or whatever they called it. That can actually stand toe-to-toe with Fai. Could back with Belittle. So we definitely know that they can now. So I don't think that Fai will be the premier aggro deck, but he will be in contention for it. It'll be very interesting. I think it'll depend on where Dash IO and regular Dash and Azalea end up. Those are the top 3 contenders for best aggro deck, along with Fai. I guess those 4 decks would be your contenders. Where was I on the question? Yep, up there. New heroes struggle because they have to deal with Lexi and Icelander Dromai. Absolutely, 100%. Do you have any advice for Bravo versus Lexi match? From the Bravo player point of view. I think that the cat's out of the bag on the fatigue strategy. I think you have to flip the script, hope they run fat deck into you, and kind of lean more aggressive. When I say more aggressive, I'm not talking about take 12, swing back or anything. Just play a mid-rangey game, right? Don't be afraid to take an arrow, a little bit of an arrow, and a whole nother arrow to send a Spinal Crush, right? Weigh your options, do good math, and just wait for windows. Dominate when it's appropriate and don't over dominate. That's the key thing. I see too many Bravo players over dominating when there's just enough armor to prevent it. You have to get the armor, but you need to get the armor in efficient ways with like CNCs and stuff like that without having to dominate. And then once you've done that, then you start dominating everything because you know it actually gets extensional value. What do you think about LSS direction of power level of the new heroes? I think they have an in-game plan, right? I think they're trying to correct something. I think we are in the correctional period, where the last of the best heroes are on their way out, and then I think we'll hit the best state of Fab we've ever seen at the beginning of next year. I would say by April time frame ish, I think will be the best Fab's ever been. That's my prediction. We gotta weather it, right? We gotta make it through Lexi, Icelander, Dromai, and we'll get there. Where do you see Fai after? I kind of already talked about that. I think he's in contention for the best aggro deck. It's going to depend on whether Icelander kicks rocks too, and then the relevancy of Azalea is what it's really going to depend on. What do you think Prism needs to not auto lose to Dromai? New everything. They couldn't print a single card to fix that matchup. They just couldn't. It's like it's like the old Prism versus Dromai. It wasn't one card. It was the fact that they could attack with all their shit and kill all your dragons or whatever. And, whereas the second you ran into Spectra, that's it, right? They couldn't clear all the Spectra and then start hitting you, right? So it's the exact same situation. It's just flipped, right? Dustblade seems both good and bad in LL. I think it's a high risk play. I think it's very good, but there's a lot of hate against it. Why have you abandoned Dory? Because she just ain't it, unfortunately. Going to be completely honest with you, my only CC hero has been set, but everybody here mocking her. I have some brute pool. Should I change to Levia or Reinar? I think Levia is a decent pick if you don't mind the variance. Simple as that. But at the end of the day, play what you enjoy. I stuck it out with Briar way longer than I should, but I don't regret a bit of it. I had a blast. I loved it. I loved playing it. It was a good time. Just the all non-attack hands really hurt. They really hurt. Also, new back alley Oracle just dropped. What? Do you feel Tome is a 3 of in Big Dragon? 100%. Nope. You run 3 of that card every single time. There is zero reason not to. At worst case scenario, it's a filter, right? You have full tempo, you draw a D react, you just pitch it away. It's so good. Tome is a 3 of in Dromai every single day. Wombat Combat. Could be. Correctional period sounds correct. Yep. I agree with you, Z. 100%. Ordering triggers changed a bit. Yep. Make the chest reduce the weapon cost rather than the hero cost. I mean, sure. Thoughts on Kano in LL format? No. I just don't think that I don't think he's going to be doing enough, to be honest with you. There's so much potential for that format to be so fast that he's just not going to have enough time to get there. It really depends on how quick the format is. Untitled Prism is good. You think new Dash is best out of the new mech heroes? I think old Dash, or out of the new Dash, the new mech heroes, yes, I think Dash IO is the best. I do. Thought process is, in the current meta, there's not enough time for Teklevossen to really get set up. Maxx, there's been, he's a good aggro deck, but is he better than regular Dash aggro? And is it worth giving up the pistol package? Probably not. Whereas Dash IO does some very explosive things. There's so many, out of the box ways to manipulate the top card of your deck, which gives you a second look at an item. And if you run like a ratio of like 23 or 24, you can't. The way that I look at Dash.io, the more you can manipulate that top card of your deck, the lower ratio of items you can run and still be effective and get and extract as much value as you can from the hero ability. And running less items leads to less no blocks and all the risk associated with doing so. So I'm really a fan of playing the deck in a way to where you can really manipulate that top card. I'm really a fan. I've come up with ways like crazy stuff like Seek Horizon, less crazy stuff like Seeker's Met, stuff like that, where you just prevent the damage, use the floating to get a second look and play, things like that. You think New Dash is the best? Yeah, we already answered that one. I just feel like no one would respect Kano in LL format, therefore making him pretty powerful theoretically. Yeah, but everybody's going to be packing AB because Icelander's going to be there, and Hypothermia is a card. That's a fact. That is a fact. Just let me know if you got any more questions, chat. And we'll get to all of them. Unless it's Vera. Can't be answering Vera's chat or questions. What should I play for PQ good value Crawford? You know what you need to play. I'm not answering that. Play what has served you well, Taylor. What is your favorite kind of tide? Roll Tide. Would people really pick Icelander in LL format? It really depends on where things land, right? I mean, it really does depend. But I do see your point. I don't think Prism will be as relevant as we think. With Stubby's Fai hanging out, like, I don't know, Chief. Although if Prism won in Barcelona and that player got the statue by playing Prism, that would be very thematic, right? I could get on board with that. All right. Well, that was a very fun stream. I had a great time. I hope you did as well. Also, more importantly than the fun, I hope you found some aspect of value with the stream. That's the number one goal of these, is to just give other players some type of value, whether it be insight or what crazy people are thinking, or anything, any way that I can help you become a better player, whether it be competitively or just enjoy the game more, is the reason I'm here. So I really hoped you got either some type of enjoyment or some type of value from the stream. I am always open to feedback. Please let me know what I'm doing good, what I could do better other than spelling. That's a lost hope, but yeah, always looking to get better. All feedback is welcome, both positive, constructive, whatever you want to call it. And I think we got up to like 200 today. So really awesome stuff. Really appreciate everybody being here. It means the world. We have Tokyo Battle Hardened this weekend, I believe. And we might also have, what else do we have? We have Tokyo. We have three. We have three Battle Hardens all over the world this weekend. I did see somewhere on Twitter that the Milwaukee one will be covered by Savage Feats, aka Ethan. And, so expect amazing coverage because it always is. And looking forward to catching some of that. Always good stuff produced from Ethan and his team, 100%. So hopefully I'll see you in the chat for those videos. And yeah, we got the Brazil one coming up. That community just got on board, what, like 4 or 5 months ago, and they got a battle hardened? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Back from the army. What did I miss? The whole thing. The whole thing. But that's where I put everything. That's where everything finally landed. Finally landed. The Azalea hit red in the ledger the first 4 turns of the game. I don't want to see her anywhere below S tier. She's almost there. She's almost there. So see, we were right. We were right. I would love nothing more to come to Brazil, but I don't think it's in the cards. I don't see it. I don't see it. Not for a battle hard. A calling? Maybe. Maybe. Come to Brazil. Watch me losing with my Vincent. Hey, I wish you the best. I wish you the best. If you're having fatigue problem, load in a bunch of putrid stirrings. They block for 3 into aggressive matchups where you need to mid-range, and then it increases threat density. Also, rattle bones with rattle bones into Unhallowed Rites into Howl from Beyond. You can loop the Unhallowed, basically. Not loop, but you get every time you play a Rattle Bones or anytime you play an Unhallowed Rites, it's like 7 threat density, and you just fatigue them via threat density, basically. So if you ever have any issues on that aspect of gameplay, that's my best recommendation for you. The problem is you're just not going to be able to outvalue Lexi, unfortunately. But that hopefully that helps you if any Bravos are trying to fatigue you or anything like that. Well, that's gonna finish up the stream, guys. I really do, like I said, I really do appreciate everybody being here, and I will see everyone